Hey everybody, welcome to WideNet Gaming, taking another look at State of Decay 2. I am on the Cascade Hills map, driving away from my second base on a resource run in the corner office. This is in the kind of downtown central area. This is a post-review gameplay, just showing gameplay footage. I'm calling this a post-review. This is more so, done laid back, talking about information of the game kind of as it's going on here. And it's going to be a lot more spoiler heavy, but if you're looking for more information beyond just my 5.6 point reviews, this could be useful if you're still on the fence about playing or getting the game. One thing I didn't mention, I mentioned in my comments, is this is on Game Pass. I'm doing a few games actually on Game Pass, so you can try it out, and how it works with DLC. You pay extra at discount for this one. This one has the Daybreak, which has the kind of the horde mode. But anyway, getting back to the game here, this is often what you do. You go out in your car that you have picked. You start with the utility truck in the very beginning. I think like you saw in my review, kind of the white truck. And from there, though, there's vehicles throughout the map, and you can pick one. And they're all different. They have different storage, speed, how durable they are. I have this is the Brogan Sport with the roof carrier attachment, which gives it a lot of cargo. But it's also pretty fast and doesn't use too much fuel, but the negative is it's not as durable as like a truck or a van, but it has that speed. So oftentimes what you do when you're going somewhere looking for resources, like you're stopping along the way. Like here I'm stopping at a gas station just because I'm a little low in fuel, so you're kind of mapping it out, and that is the main gameplay loop. This video is a bit longer just because it's the loop that you have going back and forth from doing a resource pickup and going back to your base. It's it typically takes a while, actually, and this is kind of the repetitive nature of the game that puts a lot of people off. Is they look at it as, well, you're just going out, you're getting resources. There's only so many things different that happen, while you're doing this, which is true. There's a handful of like scenarios with the other communities that'll ask for something, and with the resources as well, kind of how things play out, what you're getting, and how you approach it. But the random nature, like you do have like some of the same buildings. Like there's a police department and the gas stations. These are kind of fixed, but kind of what's in there is not, and that's part of the fun, is the management of these things while you're doing these resource pickups. Also, at the same time as I kind of go back into the map, I'll be doing things for my base to kind of create resources and improve morale, and even create resources depending on like the type of buildings that I have. But as you're traveling, there's a lot of locations that you're going to be stopping by to do one thing or another. Like the gas station is a resource pickup, but like here I'm at a cell tower. There's also billboard towers. At the cell tower, though, you have a longer line of sight, which means you can survey more buildings. So you kind of want to pick them out. The negative being that some of them are tucked away behind some rocks, and they're not just off the road, whereas like a billboard that you can quickly hop up and get the more immediate survey of the location. So those cell towers, though, when they do pop up and they're along the road, you really want to hit them, because you have a lot of areas that you're able to survey, all the little question marks, and the circle kind of loading thing here. This one, of course, I had already surveyed through a couple billboards, so there's only a handful left. But even so, there's still able to get a few, despite that. Yeah, go back to the circle wheel with the resource pickups and the survey. That's the main one for the third-person gameplay that you're going to be doing. When you're searching, there's a wheel. Surveying, there's a wheel. Repairing, putting in gas, there's a wheel, and you can adjust how fast it takes on something. Like with the search, you can speed it up and risk making sound. which happened with me with the gas station just now, and then I got attacked by a few zombies. And then other ones you don't, like the survey does it automatically. And this is all done, really well, actually, like thoughtfully, where they have something in mind where there's a risk-reward to do more. And especially in the dread nightmare zones, that it is a risk, and sometimes it's worth doing, just to quickly get out of the location, but then you can risk getting attacked, and especially if you have a guy with you, he can get stuck back, and then he run over the car. All these little scenarios that come up, and that's what keeps people like me playing the game, even on the easier difficulty. I mean, I played all the legacies because I like that loop of you don't know what's going to happen. You're doing similar things as far as the resources, but as far as how things play out, that's the positive. That's kind of the other side of the coin. Is there's the benefit of you don't know what you're getting when you're going in somewhere. The buildings they're a little bit different. Like there's like a similar layout. As you see here, I'm searching through all the rooms to clear it, but I could get a gun that'd be very useful, or ammo, or resources, and I might have too much stuff, so I gotta drop something, or I'm gonna use it. So I use my firecracker and I pick up something more valuable for trade, or that I'm gonna use in one of my weapons. And that is really the pull of the game, is that kind of player choice. And it's the same thing with the bases as well. Like, different bases have different benefits. Really quickly, going back to the game here, the crossbow. This is one I've been finding that I use more and more because it's silent. Not only that, but it is dead silent, whereas like with the pistols, small arms, you can attach silencers, but you have the issue of you have to repair, fix, unjam. That happens in this game. And then it actually even makes a tiny bit more sound that you have zombies farther out that are going to come at you. As if you fire too many shots, and then that gets out of control, of course, too, with the crossbow. You fire one. The disadvantage being the slow reload and the utility, of course, of it, that you still have to rely on melee if there's more than one. After you survey an area, it's all cleared out. You see my immediate vicinity there more so I can see like the white that shows the buildings. Whereas farther out, I have yet to survey. And you also can do this just by driving by. The immediate buildings there along the street, they'll uncover those. And then the farther ones you just have to survey, of course. But that's also another way, like you have that sort of choice. You still have to survey, really, as you're going along. The durability, though, of the weapons, and just using everything, its limitation. The bottom right there, you see my main weapon. I have an axe, and it's a yellow. It goes from yellow to red. After you've used it a while, you eventually have to fix it. And this is much more of an issue because they're more fragile. Everything is. The cars, as I mentioned, the weapons, they jam more quickly, they break in the Dread Nightmare Zone, and you have more zombies, too. So you have to almost have another weapon or stop by an outpost and kind of plan that, too, as you go along. The main resources, though, that I go for are the ammo. You see in the top there, there's ammo, food, materials, fuel. I am missing one. Oh, medical. Yeah. The ammo I find to be the most important, but it changes throughout the game as you're going along. Ammo, food you need immediately as well, but it lasts a while. You don't have as many people in your group early on. You just have the 3 in a small house, and then by the time you have more, you have tons of food. It's more plentiful, as well. But the ammo, not only less so the rucksacks, that's the resource that you use to build up your base, but the arms, like having like an M16 and having enough bullets, but especially the weapons themselves I'm finding to be more of an issue. There's workarounds for creating resources that I've been checking out now, because I've been forced to. But I'm always looking for, like you see in the top there, military roadblock, the type of weapon you have, like the ammo. And then you have a chance to find weapons. I'm always on the eye out for this, and these are the least common next to medical. Medical, more so early on in the game, I'm finding. Like after you have a few blood plagues, which you need medical to craft, then you're good. Like going back to the resources and the base, to give an overall picture in general, is the base. How it works is you build everything. Initially, you need materials. You see in the fourth resource there on the top. You need materials to build everything first, and also to maintain all your everything. And this is one kind of with food that after you have that, then you're okay. And they're all over the map. There's really quite a bit, and you don't need them all the time. So materials is kind of an early one. The other one is medical. With this one, you need it to craft you need the samples, which you have with the blood plague, the red zombies as they attack you. You need it initially for that, getting a few people can get infected, and then you don't have something, or like traders, other communities will be asking for those. So having a few of those early on is all. And this is the one you can craft as well. And since you don't need, there's a plague sample as an example. You need like 5 to craft a single cure. Once you have that, then you're okay. Typically with medical, you just make some here and there, and then you can craft some cure. Food is similar, like less of an issue. You get to get one, and then you're good, and kind of here and there. Next would be fuel. Is kind of a middle of the road one. It's more the resource, the gas. But once you have enough rucksacks, and these are plentiful enough around. Some of the locations you got to really search around to find stuff. This one, as you see, took me a while to find this equipment.
Good day.
And you never know what you're gonna get. Like here, I got ammo. I got the it's a high caliber sniper rifle, and the rucksack. But I don't have the gun, of course, which is the issue. These are more on the plague hearts. You take those out, and you will get a weapon or something most of the time. And they're also the harder aspect to that you're planning out, because you don't want to attack too soon. And they get increasingly more difficult, and they increase the difficulty. I believe this is still the same for the game as you take out each plague heart. But the ammo is the big one with the weapons, and just the ammo to a degree. But you are able to craft. I'm finding that you are able to craft everything, and this gives you enough flexibility, but not where it's too easy. I find even in the Dread Zone, I can imagine the Nightmare Zone too. Like this is a valid workaround in case you're short on resources. All the resources you carry, though, like this affects your weight, and how fast you can move, your stamina, all that. And again, going back to the review, everything works together. There's nothing isolated anymore. So if you're getting too many resources, the benefit is you're good for when you get back to the base, but then if something happens combat-wise, you're in trouble, and vice versa. So there's that balance there too, but you're aware of it. You're kind of paying attention to the weight of things. I'm finding that a lot more, whereas before I'd be loaded down. I didn't care. I'd take out the handful of zombies in an area, and then I just move on, drop something off if I just needed the space. So this still works well. And here's a better example of me surveying a wider area from a cell tower, which gives you the benefit of looking farther.
The infestations around here are getting out of hand.
And the bar on the top shows how many you've surveyed, and the blank space, how many that are left. But yeah, the customization, and most importantly, how much more it means is really determines.
I wouldn't mind living in a place like that.
How much you're going to enjoy this gameplay loop. Like you're looking for something, and there's more difference in like type of players. Some are going to be,
Look
very
at that sweet
stealthy,
ride.
and they're probably going to do the best. But it takes longer as a result. So the zombies will get in. The zombies are they're getting stronger all the
I think
time.
that's another plague heart.
It's getting more difficult. The number of hordes, type of groups of zombies, type of hordes, type of special zombies like the feral, the juggernaut. This impacts us as well. But the choices matter more while you're scavenging.
Nothing more to see here.
And you can determine the type of how the gameplay is going to be. Like mine in particular, I go for the silenced weapons. Gear it towards that way, getting the weapons that I want to be well equipped, rather than worrying as much about the resources and making room for that. Because I could have, I could have 2 more slots, and I could put a lot more stuff. But then I put myself at risk. But then if you're going stealth, then you don't have to worry about being attacked as much if you're really taking your time going through. Another thing with the characters, you have that customization. Early on, you have your handful of weapons, so you're constantly, there's a lot of fiddling in this game. You're circulating, like the firearm you have, the crossbow, the backpack, until you have 8 backpacks that have the 8 cargo, or the 8 slot space. You're unequipping, equipping. There is a lot of the fiddling with this game. I'm kind of like with real-time strategy, except you're controlling a character in the third person. You always control your base while all this is going on. You're determining and everything that you're doing, like if I'm creating medical, or I am having a morale boost, creating food at the garden, this might take 10, 15, even more, like a half an hour if I'm building a base. And then you have the upgrades as well, and some are instantaneous, like I can produce an improvised suppressor, napalm, and a lot of this can be, most of this can be upgraded as well. Like my suppressors, I can make better suppressors, better napalm, thermite, better soda pop can bombs. I can make those into pipe bombs if I have certain prerequisites. And this goes back to the characters. If you look at when they're highlighted, they have a certain set of skills. Some already have it early on, and they can't learn them, but you pick up textbooks throughout the map, and they're able to learn things like gardening or medicine, utilities. There's quite a few here, and this determines what you can make at these small shops. The game is really a lot more about that community base building, even though, and the gripes I know people have are with the gameplay. It's a little bit slower, there's, some glitches, all that. I mean, it's in the third person, first of all, so it's not going to be as tight, like as a first person, and it's, indie kind of background game, so there is that, not too much stutter anymore. I would say it's mostly been ironed out, but there was, especially when I played it shortly after it came out, a lot of that has been ironed out. But the benefit of all that, the third person, is you grow more of an attachment because you see each character, and then you have someone go with you. He's following you, and you'll lose characters, and it kind of, I think, enhances all that. And it is not as much gameplay, oriented. I would say there's even a justified benefit with the stealth. Some people don't like it because you can see.
That's not going to fit.
You can see around the character because your perspective is from the back. But with this one, since it's not competitive, it's only co-op or single player, you can kind of see the horde, and then there's that kind of benefit. And then on the map too, it shows that anyway, so it's not really relevant, even if you have that perspective going one way or the other. The resources, how they work, you have different types. I mean, as I've said before, with certain types of buildings. Like here I have this trailer park, and they usually have materials, more gas, those kind of things. And this all shows up too, like when you're going on the map. and you're selected over a building, it'll show you the type of potential resources that they call it. And the benefit of this is, I mean, it can't be completely random. There's some things that are fixed, even when you have randomization, like the buildings, the location. Those are fixed. The resources even too. Like a gas station, it's going to have gas, but there's like kind of an algorithm with what could be there. It could be a rucksack of gas. It could be a gas can. It could even be a repair kit for the car, or just food. Like they kind of throw a couple of bandages, whatever. The likelihood kind of changes. Kind of like with roguelites. Like certain things do happen again and again. And then with small tweaks, certain things are randomized more than other aspects. So like the map, I would say, is one of those. Like you're going to have some of the same buildings and some of the same in the same places, definitely. But there is enough customization with the buildings, the bases, as well, that it is engaging, and there's always that you don't know what's going to happen. There's enough non-linearity, I think, for you to enjoy it if you enjoy that kind of thing. And the same thing goes like with the car. I'm picking up. I would say a lot of people probably go with a small car, but with that, if you're not confident in your driving, you might go with a larger vehicle. Because the faster you're going, even though it has better control, because the more you hit, if you hit so many, at a rate when you're going out. But here's an example. So I'm out. I got my resources. Some are rucksacks, some are not. And this goes into my base. You see on the left there, it's adding as it's going on. I'm also gaining influence with my community. There's really a comprehensive system going on with this game. It's not just combat, but with the base, and there's little small things. And going back to the communities, you have about 2 or 3, I would say, that are on the map, and you can ignore. They might ask for things, and then your relationship improves. When I get back to the map here, you'll see some are blue. There's communities that are in blue. One is friendly and allied, and there's different benefits. Like with the allied one, like I have in this game, I have snipers, and there's a cooldown for this, and I have like a emergency repair kit that I get, and I can use this. I can use this so often. The benefit to like allied also as well is you can recruit. You can recruit one of the survivors. The disadvantage is it disbands the entire group, but then you get another one kind of later down too. Like another group's going to be asking for something, and these, the repetitive nature go back to the same thing. Like you got to like help out a lost survivor, or you got to clear out an infestation, like a group of zombies that take over a building. And all these gain influence, which is the currency that can be used to trade in your outposts. You can use them. You can use them to get some outposts, and but ultimately, I think trade is the big one, where you can buy weapons, you can buy stuff that you need, so you're not just reliant on scavenging, and Stifer as well too. If you go to a community, you don't have to worry about getting attacked, because they're shooting them off, kind of as you go in, and it's that experience choice. You don't have to help communities, but if you don't like one, like it could be too far away, it's the same thing. Like there's that choice of the base, like my style of play, the base I started out in the right side of the map, I gradually branched out from, because it's faster just to collect resources. The disadvantage would be the type of resources you need. But, from there, I usually go out and I'll pick a couple that I need. I'll kind of along the way, I'll survey a couple areas, but then I'll stick to just resource collection in an area in the immediate vicinity. And then after a while, I gain experience. I do a handful of things kind of farther away with helping communities. Then I go to the next base. And this one, I choose based on its location, which is in that downtown, and there's several buildings. I can get resources that way. I can also get to other communities more easily. You see the green, that's where I have the outpost. There's the blue there. There's one allied I have way down there. And there's all like little icons, like it shows the type of zombies, if it's a horde, throughout the map, and it doesn't show buildings in the white if I haven't yet surveyed the area. But yeah, you have you have that player choice. One thing I like better with this one compared to the standard mode is there's a lot more risk with the random zombies kind of around your base and even other communities. There was one where I had like the Blood Juggernaut, which is the tough one, and he was by a base and he was in the way, so I lured him. You can honk your horn, you can kind of lure the zombies away to a kind of a neutral base of like 2 or 3 people, and I think he killed one of the guys. And then I eventually killed. Then I had one guy, but then that mission was kind of abandoned. And the same thing happened to my home base too. Like I lured a Juggernaut, even though I had like 5 people, and it he killed one of the guys too. Part of it can be annoying with the AI because if someone does die and like there's an AI standing around, that's annoying. But most of the time, it's it's your fault. You can't just leave it. You're not supposed to leave like those kind of sort of things be. So. With the vehicles, what I'm doing here is I'm filling up one truck, and I kind of do this. This is sort of my strategy to fill up with like a repair kit or a gas can, because you will be driving by again. You'll get a couple resources. Here's an example of like a ton of zombies, and I didn't. He's getting one of my other guys. So I threw a napalm, and then they burn. Like this part is actually much trickier. I think I go with the explosives more than the napalm, just because you have the armored zombie you see here in the back, and it doesn't seem to do anything to him. So, but you want to mix it up. The negative would be I have to use ammo, which I value more than fuel. With fuel, you can make the napalm. And you can upgrade these as well, too, which impacts it, All the cargo is different with each one. Like the utility truck in the white, that one has 6 cargo you see here. I'm struggling because I got to contextually go from one truck to the other. And the durability is a little bit different even too. It seems like with the old Norma, that's the old truck, 50s, 60s truck behind it, seems to be a little bit more durable, actually. But here what I'm doing is I'm dropping off resources kind of along the way, filling up trucks, just because of that, fragility, really, of the vehicles, that it's kind of handy to have that in case you need to switch a vehicle and you're kind of along the way. So I'm doing that, and I'm taking off here.
No room for that.
Yeah, and these both have the 6 for the cargo. And I leave a repair kit and a gas can, at least one of each, even a couple ideally, because everything just either runs out or is less durable. Here I am smoking, so I already need to repair the truck. It just does not take much. And this is a good change, because you're forced to deal with it in real combat with firearms or melee, as it is intended, kind of a thing. And this is just, it gets ridiculous in Nightmare Zone. You just don't touch anything. Like maybe one like high-profile zombie, like a feral or a screamer.
Stay away from the sick fucking disease.
The zombies, the changes, some are similar. The bloater, I feel like, is more the same. Like you're approaching, you just want to stay away. Same thing in this one. The more dangerous ones would be the Juggernaut. It's all Blood Juggernaut. They take a lot more health, and you don't have the ammo you had before. You couldn't run them over in standard mode either, but especially now, they just take so much ammunition to take down. The ferals are about a little bit worse, about the same. You can melee them. Screamers are a lot more dangerous. This time around, they call a lot more zombies from a farther range. Here I am going again, filling up the repair van. I'm looking to switch vehicles with this one though, because it has 8. See in the top middle there, 8 to fill up, whereas the truck just has 6. And I'm getting all those out. Most of them feel the same. The amount of passengers is 4 though, with most of the vehicles except the 2-door, of course, just 2.
I guess it's better than nothing.
Everything takes longer. I find myself not doing the fast search because it takes more time, and I run the risk of like fighting zombies and losing some guys, which has happened to me a few times. You know, it's still. And here's a couple more. The aiming and shooting too. Like they changed something with the auto, which is good. They changed something with the auto aim that makes it's more difficult to hit. So your experience, you know, again going back to stuff matters more. Your experience for shooting, you'll notice when I'm doing combat, like fighting or firing, running, searching even, you gain experience. So not every character is going to have the same stamina or health. At the bottom there you see my blue is stamina, my red is my health. And this can be way out of whack. I can have a big blue or big red. And then over time, if a character's been out a while, they get tired. And this happens more quickly as well. And that is the bar on the left. You'll see some Z's, and those go down. And then if I've been attacked, which I have, there's a little Band-Aid, and there's different types of ways you've been attacked, like even a gas inhalation from a bloater, or if you're just swiped, there's a little bandaged head, kind of shows you. And this limits your total heal, your total health bar. And it can still go down. You can replenish it here and there, but like these things all degrade, and you're able to heal yourself at your base with your infirmary if it's upgraded.
Could I get
and
a
there's
supply drop
also
over here?
abilities of you can just heal everyone at once for some resources if it's worth it. You have that choice though. Again, going back to the player choice, how you want to do it. But lots of fiddling. You know, you're going to a vehicle and putting stuff in, picking up, deciding what you're going to have on you, what you're going to have in your vehicle, what you're going to drop off, and storage, you know, returns too. Like you have a couple of vehicles at your base. One is just storing resources, like your rucksacks. That's the orange one. Yeah, here in the bottom, you see now my blue bar. I have the Z's because I'm gradually getting tired. But yeah, you have a vehicle at your base, but you're always like fiddling, deciding, you know, like there's limits in terms of storage. There's really something surrounding everything with the resources, the combat, that you can get better at, that you can keep in mind as you're playing. There's that 2-door I was talking about. And pros and cons, like this car is very fast, and he doesn't use as much fuel, and the storage is less, very fragile. So I find myself with the Brogan Sport, with the roof carrier that has the 8 slots. And here I am at the police department. You know, ammo is a big one. Always looking for those weapons. I'm at the police department, so this is the prime one, of course. And then the searching. You see in the bottom there, the little black squares shows what I've searched. And you have to search all of them before an area can be clear. And you still do have that safety net. I'm guessing Nightmare Zone, this is maybe even more important. But even with the Dread Zone, like it pays to search a couple areas, and then you're good to search resources as long as you take your time, you don't rush, you know. And outposts help this too. If you have an outpost in an area, and I think I have one next to an allied community, it gives you a general safe area where you can run to the community, and they can, you know, take out a few of the zombies. So you're able to go back to scavenging area. Back to the base. See, you're always going back to doing something at the base. I just started up my generator there. There's actually no point to it. I was just trying it out. But the 2 resources you have, power and water. Water is for morale, doing things, and power is also morale and doing things. They both are. But they allow you to craft certain things, like with power you can do the pipe bombs, but you also need the specialization of a character. You know, going back to the last little skill, when you highlight a character, and they can learn this with a textbook, like you know, medicine, gardening, utilities, mechanics is another one, craftsmanship. There's several here, and you're only limited. You know, you only have so many survivors, and there's only so many you can get over time. And here, back to the police department, with the outposts, you're able to drop off small resources. The large ones you cannot, so you're still doing the car shuttling back and forth to your base. Here I'm highlighting one of my allies and mulling over whether I want another guy. There's an objective there though, like to kind of that you have to maintain here and there as well. Like even if you have an allied community, they still might have something come up that you have to do, or they won't be allied anymore. So you're kind of being strategic about it, like how far away are they? Can I get there? Do I leave it be? You know. But the resource collection, you have that passively with a resource with a outpost. If it had like the police department, I could set up as an outpost and then get like one ammo rucksack, or not rucksack one ammo amount per day. And you have this with, but you eventually want to have power and water, because you can craft certain items, and then you don't need to have it as in your take up space in one of your slots at your base. And these are more expensive in influence, so it's more I don't have either right now. The one I'm currently on, in Meager Valley, I have one that has the water one, just for morale, and then later power. Power is kind of a luxury just because your base is dark too. I would just get it. But a good comparison, just out of laziness, I would get it. I mean, the standard mode, I wouldn't really think about, oh, I can build these things. I was even aware of it. But it was just easier to get, and I can look around my base, I can see what's going on. But here it's much more crucial for morale, and then also the stuff you can craft. I could see where some people would just have a generator for something, because they just need it for one building. And they don't want to waste the influence on an outpost. How the Blood Plague works is you get hit, and then there's a bar you see in the top there, up the little map, and then when that gets to the red, then you have the plague, and then you have 30 minutes in Dread Zone, and it's like 10 only in Nightmare Zone, where you have to have the cure. Even in the car, there's like a little bit of like the resource fiddling, because some rucksacks I kind of want to hold just for the space if I'm holding something too heavy. And then you can also give one to the person that's with you, your companion, if you could enlist a follower at your base. So you have 2 for yourselves, and then however many you can fit in the car that you're coming with. And you don't want to be too greedy, and I always am. And then someone dies, but you don't want to worry too much about getting too many resources. You can still want to focus on more so what you need, and then with the even, you know, sometimes you want to pick a small resource even over a rucksack, because you might need something.
That's almost as much as I can
like
carry.
gas or a repair kit or ammunition or a weapon can be more important, even for convenience if you know you're going to use it down the road a bit.
Feel like shit. Fucking
But yeah, it's a lot of, you know, overall, if you get sucked in, like here's my radio drop where I'm getting a repair kit actually from my allies that I requested using influence, and it just popped in on top of a roof. And this is, you know, it's fun. Like it's random where it drops off. Like that's the benefit to these games that have like the roguelite sort of elements. There's things that repeatedly happen, yes, but it's you don't have like a checkpoint where this is going to happen, and then and then this is going to happen. Like, there's only that with like typed missions where, okay, a horde's going to attack you, and then that's done. But like the way that it happens and the stuff that you're doing with the resources, even though you're, you know, going through the buildings, searching, there's more randomness, and this is, I think, what attaches people and is the disconnect between how this game is reviewed and why people like it. And you have that with certain games. Like it has the glitches. There's no, you know, there isn't much of a story. Like, people will talk with you
That's a lot of
while
stuff.
you're, you know, going around getting everything.
I'm a little full at the moment.
But not much, you know, not much with the story, and then gameplay-wise too. It's not like this is going to happen to everybody. Like, they're going to do certain, you know, similar things like crafting, but the base and then how they play is going to be different each time. Here, I set up an outpost. I'm able to drop off my small resources here. Now, when you disband an outpost, sometimes you have to, because you only have so many outposts. You have to upgrade your radio command to put up another outpost, and you get some of the influence back, but not all of it. So you're kind of net loss if you disband an outpost and then build a new. I think they changed this as well. I thought it was the same either way, where there's no, which I like. Like, there should be a cost to losing an outpost with your resource, your influence, and then deciding, you know, risk reward even a little bit. You know, like where you want a type of resource. Here I want the ammo. I just got a ton of stuff too, so it's worth doing, just dropping off. And I'm in a location far away from my home base, you know, on the side of the map, where I've decided to, okay, I can drop a lot of these resources, and it's worth doing. And then, yeah, you know, here again, back to my base, doing certain things, and then you get abilities over time. Like, some of these are not highlighted because I don't have a guy to do it. Like the cook, I don't think I have, so I can't do one of these abilities. But here I'm making, there's the plague cure that I can make. And I've learned a lot more about how to do different things with the bases, because you have to, because of that risk of going out and collecting resources. You want to make as much as you can at home, so you're less at your home base, like the resources, the medical, the ammo, so you're less reliant on going out and getting things. So, like, I think just recently, like, even there's the power of water where you can make things, but even I don't think I ever used making the resource thing with the infirmary, the medical, and the workshop where you can make the ammunition as well. And the home bases too, even picking them, there is difference. With my current one, like, I think I have a base at a police station. I can make my own ammo at discount, and then I can double up on that because I can make it at the workshop, and I can also make it at the police station. There's different types of ammo, you know, for depending on the guns you get, and then you're keeping those things in mind as you're going around, like the type of ammo that you make. That's one example, you know, that's one resource. There's other stuff as well. If you're getting a lot of food, then you never have to worry about going out and getting food, or even making stuff. Like I can make meds to heal, and but with the food, for instance, something not directly connected, you can make snacks, which instantly restores your stamina. I could see some people playing a style of just running,
Not really anything special.
running around the map. There's a snack right there, and constantly replenishing their health, grabbing resources and running, getting a handful. I mean, you could play that way, technically, or just, and then in combination with firecrackers, all that. But, you know, and this stuff I'm actually using. Like, firecrackers I never used tactically to divert some zombies away, you know, in order to collect resources. And here and there I find myself doing that, or stealth thing too. With the trailer park, the type of resource you have is the parts often. You also can get gas, as you see here, or chemicals. And there's random
more of
things
that.
with each one. Like, I can be at a gas station, I can get, like, pills, you know, just healing pills. That happens too. That's the randomization element. But going back to just the reviews of the game, with this one, and I'm finding it with some other games as well, they rate it slanted a lot more on quality or things that people don't like about a game that are, you know, kind of even like very subjective. The multiplayer, for instance, there's the co-op, and there's people that don't like it because you can't bring your own resources back to the big ones anyway, back to your base. You can do small ones, you can get armed, you know, which is a whole other thing, but that's one thing where you have the preference thing, and then the other one is the limitation of you have to stay around the host character's space. Now, with all this stuff, you got to keep in mind technical limitations. Like, that is the one with kind of staying around the host character. You know, I mean, it would be even glitchier if you had to go farther out, like the budget of the game. And then the other one is the pros, cons, having one thing or the other. Like, they could possibly put it in where you have your own resources, but then you're taking away a lot of, like, high-value resources, and you're not really helping out the other character. And you're just kind of building up your own base while you're not on your own map, you know. So there's a negative, you know, to that as well. So, like, things to keep in mind when you hear criticism about a game is, like, some technical ones. It's like, yeah, it's a thing, but that's why something is open-ended. Like, and just disregard over improvements as well. Like, there's the glitch with the glitches and all that, and development for this game has been slow. Like, I would say, like, that is definitely a negative with, like, how slow is the DLC that has come out. And you know, I didn't like the Breakdown one, which is a horde style type of game, just because it's not about that. It's more about, you know, going around collecting resources and deciding whether combat is worth it or not. It's not just like an action kind of combat sort of a game. So, you know, like, there's certain things like that, but the just the improvements disregarded compared to the previous game. Like with the, you know, the 4-player co-op, the, like, added features with the zombie plague and the weapons that they added. Yeah, I mean, there's graphical improvements as well, and then the difficulty is even one too. Like, they didn't have, they had that in the last one. The only other thing would be just a breakdown mode, you know, where the previous game, the DLC came out sooner. Like, they had it, but, like, if they had that, like, that would really be the last thing I would say. Like, if they have that in terms of improvement, and there's a place to go. Like, there is the ambition, you know, with certain types of games, that you got to keep that in mind with a lot of games that do play it safe, as they'll run very well, and a lot of games are like that. They run very well, but it's stuff that you've played before in the same way, and there's usually more linearity. So that's kind of the price you pay for not taking risks, because it's harder. And there is just so many various systems, and there isn't a game like this with the base building and all the systems, I think, surrounding that. I think like there's one that's combat oriented, where you're just collecting resources, but you don't have a persistent base. Other communities popping up, you know, where you're making decisions of, okay, do I want to keep this? Do I need another recruit? You know, things like that. And the kind of the glitches and all that, like, that's sort of the price for that. In other games I've played, it's that way too. Where the gameplay is more unique, but you have that. And some, it's really bad, like where it's unfinished, but you don't have the microtransactions with this that I know of. I think you can probably buy, like, Daybreak stuff. I don't recall. But I mean, you know, in the main game, I'm not bombarded on the menu screen with I buy something for a weapon in a game, and that's how it would be. And I mean, there's the mix of the content that's taking longer a bit longer to release with the Game Pass thing, but it's not exactly the same. And this is why you do reviews, you know, like talk about this stuff because you want to know the pros and cons. It's not like, okay, this is bad, this is good. I mean, played a lot of like good quality games that I wouldn't recommend playing just out of you know, because it's been played before, or it gets worse, or even it stays the same, you know, sometimes. But yeah, like, I mean, in terms of like all the systems that you have with it, and there is something surrounding everything you're doing, the crafting, the combat, you know, when you're searching around, the type of bases that you pick. And here's an example of me missing like crazy. I can't get this last. Just with there being less auto aim.
You talking to me?
Other than that, wrapping up here, in terms of the game, yeah, this is, you know, this is typically how it does play out. So, I mean, you know, watching gameplay, if it is going to be boring, this is definitely the majority of it. Just getting materials, going around and surviving, and then deciding what to do based on materials that you get, stuff you buy, like whether you planned it or not, you're getting it sooner or getting it later. But you know, this is pretty much it. So any questions you have about the game, especially for these videos, or things that I may have missed, which is, you know, possible. I didn't do any Plague Hearts assaults. I didn't go by any communities. I didn't trade. There's trading items as well. Go ahead, leave a comment, and I will answer it. Dislike, subscribe, of course, too. If you like this type of video, I'm going to be doing these along with the 5-point review, just to go more in depth. So you see some gameplay, and then hear it with commentary as well. I really like that. Really helps to hear. You know, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it like this? But this gives you an idea, I mean, really, of the gameplay loop. Is deciding what equipment you want, going out either in your car or on foot. You know, sometimes if it's usually close by, or if you're kind of sticking around an outpost where you're using it as a mobile base, your vehicle. You know, getting resources and then making decisions on, you know, based on what you use. Like if I use health, if I use like my bandages, if I use my items, then I'm going to have more space, of course, to collect more resources. But yeah, you do that, and then your vehicle, you're maintaining that, you know, repairing, refueling, deciding if you're going to go back earlier, go back later, that sort of thing. As you go through each of the bases, and then just stuff comes up along the way, like you'll stop by and get resources, or there might be a survivor activity where you're rescuing somebody, and then boom, you get 2 survivors to bring back with you, and some can be negative, like there's negative morale aspects with some of the survivors if they're paired with other survivors or doing certain things, and then you lose resources, or there's benefits too, like they'll get some items for you that you need. But here's an example of the armored zombies are just a pain. And I own my melee weapon, and I'm trying to take them all out, and my stamina bar is nothing at this point. See where the Z's are at? I've used so much stamina that it's just down to nothing, that little black line there. Yeah, but that is, like there's my outpost in the top right, I think I mentioned that. That is, pretty much it. If that sounds fun, the base management and building up your base, and then the survival, trying to get, do it without losing any people, or as easy as possible, and then getting better at planning. When you go out, what kind of things do you want to bring? Do you want to use up stamina?
The outpost is up and running.
And then you're putting down outposts along the way, like I'm doing here. I've already done that. I did the police one, and then I also doing the medical, because I need those resources. But along with that, I have, I'm collecting. I just have to be collecting a lot of materials to drop off in both of these places. At the top there's a textbook, so that's what you use to read. You can gain a skill. The character has it blanked out when you have them selected. In the bottom, and these you gain experience over time. Like they start out at nothing, and then there's so many stars where they get better at, and there's like little bonuses that you have with that. And the funny thing with this one, I have more firearms. It allowed me to see a red and yellow, meaning they're damaged. I have to repair them. I have to spend parts to repair them. But my ammo is shorter. Now, knowing what I know now, I would just be constantly getting new ammo at my workshop. And then you can unpack that, and you can get random ammo. And then you continually do that, and you eventually get the ammo you want. You get a lot of surplus ammo, too, so then you use that with the guns. And you have that customization with characters. Once you have enough items, you kind of give a loadout. I've been doing that a bit more too. Like I'll give a character a specific loadout. Like they'll have a gun, even a couple like meds, just to make it easier. A weapon, and there's that too. Some are better with blunt weapons. Some are better with bladed weapons, depending on the experience route you go. And you have some choice over this. There's an upgrade point, and then you're able to gain experience. The other thing I did not mention is the leadership. That once a character has enough experience to become a hero, they can become a leader, and then they have a kind of a more linear path where they're doing certain missions up until the final one. And a lot of these are in the same buildings. Depending on the map, you'll go to a place and you'll meet a group, and you got to take out some other humans, or you got to take out some of these zombies. It's those kind of missions. But this is only built up after you have enough experience with any character. Even if you have a new recruit, you can gain experience. And this is, just through scavenging. That's how they all gain experience. Whether and all the aspects too. I think I mentioned this with the shooting, the fighting, the running, all of this. The more you do it, the more a character gains experience doing shooting, fighting.
How's it going?
Okay, let's see what you've got.
Sure.
And here is a trader. You see the cost on the left there, and it's another way to gain resources. Here I'm getting fixated on ammo, rucksacks, but I'm getting one more. And this is, cost benefit. Is it worth spending the experience for something like that versus waiting later and you're with a soldier group and you're buying a weapon you need, or just saving it in general and getting an outpost?
I'm pretty sure I've searched everything here. I need a rest.
And lastly, I want to talk about the difficulty a little bit. The standard is the way to go. I've never played the game before. I would do standard. I played the first one, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. I never dug into it. I never played Breakdown, so I didn't bother with that one. But I was familiar with the base building, and then I was able to learn, if it was relevant to me. Like, it wasn't too hard, the finer mechanics. And then the only difference was, like, the plague zombies. The Dread Zone is more balanced difficulty, where choices you make matter. If you're really good at the game, you'll probably be fine, actually, because people are playing Nightmare Zone and getting through it right away, so they've kind of gotten better at all these mechanics. But Dread Zone is good if you're experienced, you want a challenge, and it feels like your choices matter, and the whole gameplay loop is the most rewarding. Then I would definitely go with the Dread Zone. You'll lose characters. Even with me here, I have this loud shotgun, I'm blasting away, and then I got this feral, and even with a firearm, I can't keep up, and then I'm losing this guy here. But yeah, the Dread Zone's kind of good with that, and then if after you beat that, then I would say do the Nightmare Zone. All these difficulties you can switch to. I didn't mention this. You can switch, even if you're on the standard, you can switch to Dread or Nightmare, and then boom, it scales up. the depending on like the day, and I think number of play cards that you've beaten as well. Yeah. Anyway, I'll be releasing these, in the future with other videos. They won't be as this long normally, probably half an hour most of the time. This one is longer. Just giving you an idea of like all the situations you have. Like, subscribe, again, comment if you have questions, and I will see you in the next video.